That's one small step for man.
AI rebels face.
Giant leap for mankind.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the AI Rebels podcast. As always, I am your co-host, Spencer.
And I'm your other co-host, Jacob, and we have Juan Garcia here on with us. We're very excited to have Juan on with us. He's the co-founder, co-CEO of Tuio, which is Spain's first digital native insurance company, which that phrase, I don't know if I expected to ever come out of my mouth. Digital native insurance company, that's big. So thanks for coming on, Juan.
Right. Thank you for having me.
We are excited to hear everything you're working on because I think this could change the entire industry of insurance. So let's jump into it. If you could describe the mission statement of Tuio, everything that you're working on, what's the big idea behind this?
So basically, we when you have to describe a mission, and it's not for an insurer or something, someone from the industry, it's just from a customer, for example. It's just like we say, we are reengineering insurance to make it fair, digital, and with a price point that we believe is as we're supposed to be. So
yeah,
in there we don't talk about AI. We just talk about the things that really matter to customers, which is having a fair price, something easy to use, and something that's fair with them. So that's basically what we're doing.
I like that. Focus on the end result and the impact rather than the process. So what was kind of the breaking point for you? When did you decide that you're going to rebuild insurance and inject it with AI?
So there's three of us co-founding Tuio, Jose Maria, Aziz, and I, and it's funny because I met Jose Maria from my previous job, and we kind of hit it on, and we started discussing things, and one of the things that we discussed at some point, because I was working in Orange, I wasn't an insurance. I'm not originally an insurer or anywhere near from insurance. So I was in telecommunications and technology before. And one of the things that I did before, I was running the new ventures team in Spain for Orange, which is a telco company here in Southern Europe, and in particular in Spain. And one of the insights that I got by building Orange Insurance is how broken the whole insurance industry is. It's not just about the process, just the customer-facing processes. It's just like everything within insurance seemed to be very broken. Like everything seemed to be more difficult than it should be. From launching a new venture, like building from the pieces of paper that a customer gets to even just the onboarding process, it all seemed very difficult and very cumbersome in a way. So just like there has to be something here that can be better through technology, right? That was the original insight that I have. And Jose Maria was used to work in BCG consulting for insurers, so he kind of had the same experience. And Aziz, he's the geek of the three of us. He basically deals with everything data and everything technology. So he got to a similar insight, but from the technology, from the actual, let's say, the actual insight of the industry. So from different experience but kind of similar backgrounds, we just got that insight that this is broken. I'm sure there is something that we can do to make it better. We didn't know at the time what was it, but we just figured that there must be something that we can do to make this better for the customers and for this. And that's how we got the insight from Tuio. And then we started looking into stuff, and then you realize, there's a two-sided problem here in the industry. For a customer segment that's between 25 and 55, give or take. So the thing is, from the customer side, we, because I'm one of those, we couldn't find an experience that we kind of like, or we could equate to. We all consume content from Netflix. We all purchase stuff through Amazon. We even buy groceries online, right? But in insurance, you just had to actually call a call center and be waiting for a long while to just get your policy made, or you just had to go to an actual insurance broker to his office and just give him your information, and he would basically come back to you in 2 days. Like, this is your quote. Maybe you can do your policy through that. So that's a very strange experience in this day and age,
it's
right?
Like a black box.
It is very strange.
Yeah.
So, and you get that. And from people 55 and above, it's just the way they're used to doing things. About us, we're kind of spoiled in a way. We just used to all these online businesses that just are kind of real time. They're kind of, you don't have to talk to anybody if you don't want to. You can call them or you can write them, but you don't have to. Right. They don't force you to go through a physical experience. That you can do it on your own through a self-service onboarding, right? And we couldn't find anything that was working, at least in southern Spain. There were And there were some insights that the companies were doing some cool stuff in the US or the UK, and we kind of got inspiration from that. And on the other side, if you look at the industry and you look at the different customer segments in terms of age, and obviously age and age cohorts are just not as crystal clear as I'm gonna make it sound, but it's kind of like when you look from 55 and above, you see a cohort that they don't use these product as much because they're just confident. They just want to have it as a kind of like as a back solution when they do have an issue, and they're just very willing to pay for this service, and they're just for them, for everybody, but for them specifically, price is a very kind of quality signal in their marketing. But when you look at the 55 and below, you look at their behavior, it's quite different. And we all do. We go to price comparison websites. We browse and research a lot online. We compare different coverages. We're pretty well informed, and the financial literacy on our age cohort is just way more so. What you get is that you get a lot of pressure on prices because we are comparing different companies, different coverages, different products. But then you also get a lot of pressure in margins because as you get more financial literacy and you know what you're buying, you tend to use it, right? Because we know what's there, and there are a lot of coverages like manitas, what we call in Spain, when you have a plumber send it to you that you don't have to have a claim, you just have like a handyman sent to your home, and that's, for example, that's something that the older cohorts don't really use, but then in the younger cohorts we see it used a lot. We see use it a lot.
Oh, interesting.
So you see when you look at the industry, you see is that the actual older cohorts are subsidizing the younger cohorts, and you don't see any. Or at least then you realize, why would they be investing in the younger cohorts? Because that's not their desired customer. The desired customer is the one that don't mind paying a lot and don't use it a lot, right? Just great top line and great bottom line.
Honestly.
So we saw this problem that there is something here because there's this customer segment that are grossly underserved. But also it's a segment that probably is not as competed because there's no incentive for traditional insurers to compete for that segment because it's just a bad customer from the point of view.
That's from a traditional insurance company. Yeah.
Right. And that's how we found this segment that we thought, maybe we can deliver something here. And that's what we've been executing from since 2021.
I like that. I really like businesses that start from a problem rather than like a stated product per se, right? Like there's some people who start a company, and I'm not talking down on them. There's somebody who gets an idea for a product and they launch a company around that product. And to me, the ones that start with a problem and then build a product to suit that problem are so much more compelling, and more interesting in a lot of ways.
Right. And it took some time. We didn't quite get there at the very beginning because you have to look at the problem in different ways. But one of the things that also gave us some insight is that insurers, they just have this one go-to-market and one product, and they try to make every customer just go through the same process. And one of the things we realized is maybe there's something that we can do in different segments, and that's how we started doing research, and then we just found. And now it seems very obvious, but 2021 it wasn't really.
Yeah. And that's what I was going to ask about, because 2021 is. That's right when the AI wave was like just starting to rise up out of the ocean. I feel like 2021 with LLMs and everything. So you made this decision before it was really obvious that maybe you could automate relatively easily a lot of these things. What was your plan initially for the automation side of things?
Sure, the vision has changed with the technology, right? Because and now it's even changing now every 6 months. But at that point, and it was funny because there's this saying that Assis, my technical co-founder, he always says that. Well, he used to say at that point is that machine learning, and this is 2021, right? Machine learning is run on Python and AI is run on PowerPoint. And that was his joke on 2021, and that kind of painted the things that we were doing at that point. We weren't thinking about the ChatGPTs of the world. We thought there was something that we could do on data. So executing on data at that point was something that we had a lot of clear. We were pretty clear from the very beginning, and having as much data as we could, and having non-traditional data to do all sorts of stuff. Not only on pricing, but also throughout all the customer lifecycle. That was one of the first things that we decided. But then, of course, 2 years later, we had to actually completely redo our vision because now you can do crazy things that you couldn't even think about 2 years ago, right? So we started on one path. We thought digital and machine learning and data, basically. It doesn't matter machine learning or any other way of doing it, or exploring data, was going to be what would be a difference in the market. But then just the Gen AI explosion came in. It's like, oh, this is great for us. We had to do a lot of work also because we started executing on Gen AI in 2023. We're pretty early, not as early as some other companies probably in the US, but we're pretty early here in Spain. But by the mid 2023, and we kind of forget now because all the models work perfectly. But 2023 was ChatGPT 3.5, and it was still hallucinating pretty badly. And we had to do a lot of architecture around that because obviously that was a huge problem. You didn't want. I mean, if you were going to have like a chatbot or something customer facing, you didn't want it hallucinating coverages that you don't have, right? No, we all remember this tweet that this chatbot from an airline, I think it was, that they said that all of you had 3 tickets and they had to actually go and give it to them because I mean it is part of the company, right? So you had to work around that, and now it's way easier, and we've seen some of the stuff that we've done. Now we're about to release the 3rd version of our original chatbot, which was our first project, and what it took us, I think, 3 months and a half to build for the first time. Obviously, there's some I mean, you need to learn stuff like that, and the 2nd version took us, I think it was a month and a half. It's already kind of half of the initial version, and now I think we're rebuilding it in like a month, and it's way more powerful. So it's just, I mean, technology just has the advance of technology just has these. I mean, it propels you, right? Having tailwinds to just propel you.
And the thing that's amazing about the models now is how versatile and powerful they are. That's obvious to say, but I'm using that to point to something more specific, which is that back in 2023, 2022, when they first released, when the APIs first released, they didn't have function calling or anything like that. So if you wanted to say, you wanted the LLM to be able to receive a command from a user and then do something, you had to set up a whole infrastructure yourself to make that work. I set up a little chat app for myself that sends UI components from the back end to the front end. And I had to rig up this whole Redis stream where I'm passing the data into an intermediary data source, and then I'm reading that from the front end, and then I'm passing another message from anyways. It's to your point, Juan, like, it's crazy how much more powerful these models get every single month, and that power compounds in the product.
Even
it's really
architecture, cool. You didn't have LangChain or that whole ecosystem.
Exactly.
So doing workflows was, I mean, it was kind of like trying to walk through this desert because you didn't have anything, and context windows were very small. You didn't have any tooling. There was no memory. It was just like
crazy.
I mean, it's just
you
like
had to throw in a bunch of retries because sometimes the stream will just quit.
Yeah, and it's so funny talking about it because it feels like it was so long ago, and like so much has happened since then. And it's like 2 years. It's like a little over 2 years have passed. Yeah, it's just crazy to me, this whole AI shift. It's been a wild ride. So I guess, Juan, before we keep going, I meant to ask at the beginning, and I'm curious, for an end user, like someone using Tuio, what does it look like? What's the back and forth? What's the flow for a customer of Tuio?
Right. We had this one thing and this insight that if we wanted to make this customer profitable, then we couldn't, let's say, we had to put the outputs on himself to just do everything on his own. I mean, we think about how in a digital product way of thinking, how to make it everything very comprehensive, very easy to do, very clear in a way. It's to make it that actually you make insurance very self-service. That's our end goal when we work digital product. So basically, when you stumble on one of our ads and get into our website, you just want to purchase this, and then you go through an online onboarding, and where everything is kind of clear. We have reduced questions at a minimum, just the real things that we need, and everything else we plug from different external databases. And we obviously we plug more data the traditional insurers don't have on the way you're behaving on the onboarding, the things that you read, the things that you click, the things that you look at, the things that you don't look at, which are as important as the things that you look at, and all through events. And then with all that information, we actually plug into our pricing engine and
almost a sentiment analysis as they're going through that initial process.
I wouldn't say it's sentiment analysis, but I would say we do some cool things, for example, that we can share, and it's just a way of improving decision making throughout the whole life cycle.
Okay.
So, for example, if the customer, when he gets to his quote, he's reading, he hasn't read anything, but he's reading one particular coverage very carefully. More often than not, there is something wrong with the customer. We tend to flag it. We don't do anything on pricing, right? We don't do it because he hasn't done anything that merits different pricing than someone that hasn't shown that behavior. But we do flag it because we found that more often than not, there's something wrong with the customer. Those customers, on average, tend to have earlier claims during the life of the policy. So, for example, the customer will exhibit this behavior, and then suddenly on his second week of this policy, and second normally is just on the very first week or even very first day of their policy, then they have a claim. And one of the things that we're flagging is like, oh, this customer exhibited this behavior. So you probably need very carefully into all the different data points and exhibits that he's given us on our online claims process, right? Because to actually file a claim, we ask the customer to file a video and some pictures and all these different data points that we use then to evaluate the claim. And when he exhibits this worrisome behavior, what we do is we actually look at those more carefully. And more often than not, you find that either in the metadata or on the naming of the pictures or the video, you see they were actually taped or taken before the policy was even purchased.
Oh wow! Sneaky.
Or you see other different behaviors, and it's not very sophisticated. It's one of those things that you actually laugh a little bit when you find it. You see that those pictures are from Google Images, and not even on the very first, on the 10th page of Google Images. It's on the very first page, very first result of Google Images. And
gosh.
So yeah, those are those things that we look for, and that behavior. It's not sentiment analysis. It's just what we call the customer DNA. We get all this information, and we see patterns on there that we actually flag. So the adjusters in this case, they have this information, so they know what to look for in different cases. And
that's fascinating.
And a week ago, we got our first image just built by Gen AI, and it was one of these. And the funny thing is that probably, I would say probably it's not the first one, because the really good ones you don't see. There's this thing about fraud. The real good one, the real sophisticated fraud, you just don't really detect it. So probably all those using Nano Banana Pro, they just kind of fool us. But this one wasn't even using Nano Banana Pro. It was probably using just some cheap, free online image generator. And it was, you could definitely see that it was AI, because it was a window, like a broken window. The window was on top of a table, and it was this floating effect, but it's not really it doesn't look like it's set on the table. It's kind of like floating stuff, and the pieces of glass were from different sizes, and it's like, this is too perfect. And the broken glass was too perfect. So it's like one of those things that this is definitely not. This doesn't work. We kind of had
that's interesting.
our first Gen AI picture on fraud.
Yeah, see, and this is a perfect. It's a downstream consequence of AI that I don't think anyone would have thought about, like the impact on insurance and these hyper realistic images. That's kind of terrifying, honestly, for insurance companies, I'm sure.
I wonder if it'll become common to for insurance companies to hire more in-person claims adjusters. So if there's anything suspicious, they're like, you know what, we're sending a guy out.
Right.
And then the person gets back, oh, no, I'm fine. And then you're like, oh, okay.
Well, that's
you're lying.
That's what they're doing anyway. Since they don't have this digital process that we have, they always need to sit, or more often than not, and it depends on the company and They send these people to just review the claim because they only have this call from a person that says, "Oh, I have this claim and I need to file it." Whereas and that's a big difference for us. We have the video, the pictures.
Yeah.
Right.
We may even have, if it's something to do with the stolen goods, we have the police report. We just have so much information at every step of the process that it's just like it's an unfair advantage if I've ever seen one.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay, so the customer submits the claim, images, video. I guess they sign up. They answer this entire questionnaire with information, and then do they just have an online account and do it themselves?
Everything is just like the standard online business that we've all got used to this point. You can get into your private space, and you have all your policies. You can browse your contracts. You have it all signed over there. So basically, it's online. Everything is self-service. You can call us or write to us, and we have this way of thinking around it. It's like, if someone has had to call us, it's because we have done something bad in product. So we try to learn about all that, and we try to plug all that into like a closed loop, so we can improve the product on stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So basically you treat insurance as you would treat your account on Amazon or Netflix or anything else.
Interesting. Okay, so maybe a little more technical. I know from what I've seen, it's kind of an ecosystem of agents with Tuio. Can you walk us through what that looks like?
Sure. I think one of the biggest insights that we got is probably taking a bit of a step back, but it kind of prefaces what I explained in terms of technically. And what we still see a lot of companies do is everybody is chasing pure efficiency. And in insurance, efficiency is cost to serve, and cost to serve is about 10% of your cost base only. It's like the largest chunk of your cost base is marketing and claims, right? So if you try to reduce, and if you manage to reduce by 50% your cost to serve, well, you're gonna earn what, 5 percentage points on your profit margins? That's not a lot, and even that's considering you just got a 50% reduction, which more often than not you're not gonna get. But if you look at marketing and claims, that's 85% of your cost base. So if you only take 10%, you're having 8 percentage points added to your profit margin. And let me tell you, there's a lot of room for improvement in marketing and claims in the insurance industry. And just to close the loop, when we did the switch, we are able to run our oldest product, just homeowners insurance, at 15% profit margin, which is 3 times the average in Spain. The average is just 5%. Wow. And we're looking at, with some stuff that we're introducing now, we're looking at probably running at 18% by the end of the year. So you're looking at 4 times the average profit margin that we're running, and we're not refusing more than the average. We're not doing some shady things. We're just doing things better, and that's because we had this insight and around mid 2024 that this is not to just reduce the size of your call center and making sure that you're able to scale efficiently is one part of it, but it's a small part. So the thing is that how we can do things better, how we can be more granular in our decisions, how we can think around insurance better. And for us, we organized around 3 levers, and that's how we've been deploying AI since. We organize around growing more efficiently, which is obviously marketing, underwriting smarter, which is not, there's AI, but it's more on the machine learning side. It's just not as much Gen AI as you would expect. And then managing claims more effectively. And what you find is that when you use, for both marketing and Gen AI and for making decisions, it's not about like the traditional automation process, like you first have A, then you have B, and then you have C. Because the thing with marketing and claims is that it's not a very linear process, either of them. If you look at claims, for example, it doesn't follow. Claims don't follow a straight line. They branch out depending on the coverage the coverage that it actually is, the severity, if there's a fraud suspicion, if you need to schedule a repair, if there's a third party involved. So it's a very non-linear process. So there's a lot of divergence among claims. So
Yeah.
when we started thinking about what can we do to automate this, is that we figured out that you cannot automate it as with the traditional technologies. So what we started doing is we use GenAI to build a next best action machine. So at every
Okay.
stage of a given claim, you get all these different data points, all the different information you plug from different places, and you run a set of analysis, and then you get a set of recommendations and a confidence interval on every
Oh, wow.
recommendation, and some of
Mhm.
them you automate, and some of them you have a person review them, right? So that's and we did that both for claims and for marketing, and we just got these amazing results just by in claims you're able to do more and do better, and on marketing you're just able to be very granular on your campaigns. So before, and you guys, I'm sure you know, you couldn't branch out a lot on your campaigns, and you use broad matching because if not, it's completely unmanageable. If you have this
Right.
crazy amount of campaigns and all exact matching, it's just not manageable for a person. But now you have a machine that can go through all your campaigns, through all your keywords with exact matching, and just give you recommendation and a confidence level.
Yeah.
So now what used to take a couple of people and a couple of days or a week, then we can just do it in 20 minutes.
Wow.
It's really a new world. And I'm curious, why don't other insurance companies in Spain do this? What's holding them back? Are they just trapped in the past?
No, actually, this is a great question, and one of the things that we just realized that when we had this switch on our mindset, and probably explains why not only the insurance in Spain, but you also see, I'm sure you're aware of these papers that say like, oh, 95% of pilots just don't show any improvement for
Yeah.
companies, and the problem is that, and this is something that we've found ourselves, and now what it seemed very easy and very matter of fact and very logical. It took us quite a while to just figure out how to build it and what made sense to build. Is that you really need to rethink your company from the ground up, right? So what we did is we didn't, and we were pretty lucky because we only started in 2021, so we only had like 2 years of legacy at this point. But 3 years of legacy at this point. But one of the things that we just realized that if you bolt AI into an existing insurer, it just won't work, or an existing company from that fact. So this Jose Maria is able to show it very well in one slide. So we started thinking about our company as a substract of data at the very bottom, then all your business processes on top of that, and then all your interfaces. And interfaces, it used to be screen interfaces, your app for your customers, your app for your adjusters, where they do all their things. But now really it is a subset of screens or human AI or UI, but it's also APIs and it's also MCPs. And now on top of that, let's say organization, you run your human agents and your AI agents, and they do work for you. So that's the way we started thinking about it. And when you think around it in that way, then you just realize your processes are not geared towards humans only and are not geared towards screens, but also from APIs and MCPs and AI agents, right? So when you think around that way, then you just realize you have to rebuild and rethink your company.
It's fascinating.
Yeah, it makes sense. I think a lot of companies just obviously everyone got excited about AI and wanted to use it and saw all these shiny new toys that had the potential to be cool, had the potential to have an impact in the company, but no, they just tried to buy. It's like they bought a set of Legos without the manual and tried to just like assemble it. Like it has the potential to turn into something really great, but you're not going to get there unless you actually think through, okay, where do we start? How do we integrate this into our company? Which we were just talking to another guest, actually the new episode that we just launched today with Jake Ambuel.
I was going to bring this up as well.
Yeah, we were just talking about how like the best practices have not changed whatsoever. I think maybe I'm just beating this dead horse at this point, but like the best practices are still the same with and without AI. Exactly what you're saying. Like I just love having seen this arc for Tuio where you identified a problem. I feel like that's marketing. That's my marketing 101 class from college is, okay, you want to start a company. What's the problem? What are you solving? What's your ideal customer? and you literally, I think this could be a case study for a marketing class. Like, okay, here's the problem. Now here's the market that you're going for. And then you build around that. Whereas these existing companies aren't, either they're not willing to make that investment, or some are, like this guest we had on with this company called Brex. They have made that investment, and they've made many pivots and kind of rebuilt processes to integrate AI, and it's made a huge impact. But it is a large investment. It's almost harder for an existing company to rebuild than for a new company.
I agree with that, and I think a lot of these big larger companies, one of the things that so AI, to me, there's two things about AI which is going to make it very difficult for existing companies to integrate. One of them is it fundamentally changes your business processes, and your technology stack, and the way you organize your company. So basically, that means if you actually make a bold investment into AI, you need to change your organization, you need to change your processes, you need to change your technology stack. So there's going to be a lot of people that's going to be upset because
Lots of
either
friction.
their job is changing, or they have to do something else, or you are imposing new stuff onto them. So to begin with, it needs a lot of courage from directors and leaders, because I mean you're putting yourself out there just by saying, if you do the real investment, you're definitely putting yourself out there, because there's a lot of risk, personal risk involved. There's a lot of I mean, and there's this argument that if you don't do it, then there's company-wide risk because it's going to fail. We still have to see that, and we will have more Kodak or more Kodak or more BlackBerry moments, or Nokia was the one that I was looking for.
Nokia.
You're definitely going to have it, but it's on the more longer term. Whereas if you do this bold investment and you do this whole organizational transformation, and you are the face of it and the face pushing for it, and it fails, it's going to fail in 1 to 2 years, and then you're going to lose your job, right? So there's a lot of personal risk into these transformations, which I think AI by its nature require, and we are the perfect example of that. We started doing one thing, and then we had to completely re-engineer the way we run claims with this next best action machine in the center. We needed to completely re-engineer marketing with this different agent in the center, and so basically, but we are 3 co-founders, and it's a small company still, so there's a lot of our imprint into it. So that's what we needed to do, and did it. But if you're looking at a big public company, there's a lot of personal risk involved, a lot of agency cost on that one. And that's one thing. And the other thing is that the usual strategy, just to outsource it to the IBMs or the Accentures of the world, if you do the traditional projects where technology and the outsourcer, I mean the consulting company, it's pretty removed from your business, that won't work. I mean, to me, and this is something that I tend to believe, that AI implementations will only work if they're done within the company, within company talent. I can see it somehow working if you have your consulting company very close to you and your processes, and you have them onboarded as someone from your company. But the traditional engagement, where they are really far from you and they are sitting on their offices and they kind of know your business but not really, that definitely won't work with AI, because it's so, to do it well, I believe it's so core to your company that a lot of companies, if they think they can engage the traditional consulting firms, they're going to struggle. That's my prediction, and maybe I'm wrong. Who knows? But
I would agree with that.
That's what I believe.
It aligns really well with what we've been hearing from a lot of our guests, and we have guests from everyone from big large companies to startups like yourself, and like Jake was talking about, our last guest, ironically also named Jacob, pointed out a lot of very similar things that you're pointing out, that if you are wanting to lead out on like an AI initiative at your job or whatever, like you got to have courage to look dumb. You got to be willing to acknowledge that you don't know everything yet, especially in a field that's changing as quickly as AI is. And if you keep yourself in like the safer projects, just having ChatGPT or Copilot given to all your employees, that's not going to have a lot of impact, really. So exactly. That's where you get into that 95% that don't see a lot of value in AI.
Yeah, totally. And I've seen that so much. The company I currently work for is called Nasuni, and it feels like they have done a good job where they rolled out ChatGPT Enterprise. Everybody has access to ChatGPT, and the same day, actually even before everyone got access to their license, they rolled out an education plan and said, okay, everyone, you are required each quarter to go through these classes, which will teach you for your function how to use ChatGPT Enterprise, like use cases and how
Oh,
to
that's cool.
integrate it. And I really admired the way they did that because I think that step's often forgotten. Companies want to say that they have achieved their AI initiative for the quarter or the year, and that goal was to have every single employee have access to ChatGPT,
Yeah, like if I
and
was,
they'd say check.
if I was working as an hourly customer service agent at one of these companies, they're like, you got to use ChatGPT. I'd be like, all right, sweet. I'm going to use it to generate some pictures while I'm at work, and I'm going to mark off on my sheet that I used it, and we're good.
Yeah.
If you're not going to tell me how to use it, I'm not being paid to figure out how to use it unless you tell me to.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
We're pretty clear in the way, and yeah, just our use cases, they are a bit different than that. But one of the things that we found that even in a company like ours is this cultural resistance to change
Yeah.
and to AI, and this is one of the things that we're probably seeing in society as general, just not in companies. It's
Absolutely, yeah.
the kind of like resistance to now. You're looking at now how people are resisting more and more of AI and how contrarian views on the success of AI are more and more successful. And one of the things that we do is that we'll give you access to within reason, obviously, to any tool that you want, even if it's for your side hustles or side
cool.
jobs or side projects or whatever. We will just give you access because we want you to have this AI literacy. And then,
I
we
love
don't know
that.
we don't know where the next great idea on how to use it within Tuyo is going to come from. Maybe it's from an adjuster. Maybe it's from a customer support agent. We just don't know. So that's why we did that, and we've seen some great results. One of the first things that we got was so we have pet health insurance, and we have the guy running that. It's an actual veterinarian. He's
Oh, interesting.
he used to be a veterinarian. He's by trade he's a veterinarian. This is his first office job. We just happened to know him, and he wanted to do something differently, and he came with us. And
I love people like that.
Yeah.
So it's first office job, and he's running with our help, obviously, the pet health piece. And then one of the first things that we started looking at ChatGPT, and then he built a custom GPT to just help him do the claims, because pet health claims are just kind of easier because they just give you a bill from the veterinarian. You just see if it's I'm just simplifying, but you just see if it's covered. You just see if the health history matches, and that's it. You just have all the information that you need. So he built these custom GPT. This is not even very, very sophisticated. It's just a custom GPT from ChatGPT. He will feed in all that information, and the custom GPT has the policy. He will just look to it and we'll look at the different coverage, and we'll look at the pictures and the history and the bill. We looked at everything matches, and it's like, yeah, it should be covered. So he just got himself a nice little automation that he uses on his own job, just to do it better or just have more free time or whatever. And we just got a nice, cool idea that we can implement on our systems, and it's implemented now on the process for the adjusters for pet health. And that's how it came to be, because we open up all these crazy tools that we will pay from the company, so they can just play with them.
Oh, see, I love that, because that just shows Tuio's willingness, one, to invest in their employee base, but two, the recognition that we're not the end all, our processes are not final. And I think a lot of companies, especially mature large companies, have reached that point that our processes are tested. We have so much data behind our processes, and they are set, and they are the gold standard. And I think a lot of companies need to realize that that's been obliterated.
You gotta be
everything
lean
is
and
shifting.
mean.
But I just love the idea of the employee benefit of that would attract me to a company. Like, hey, we'll give you access to AI tools. I'd be like, that's huge. I would love that.
we don't even, not only we don't think our processes are final, we don't even know what the next best idea is going to be. We don't even know what we're building in a year from now, because we just don't know what the capability will be and what we'll be able to do. And that puts pressure on your product organization, because with AI, we kind of work the same way we work with traditional tech. We have the product organization that figures out what we want to build and why, because we have this customer need, or we have the business need, or whatever, and then we build it. But there's always a customer need or a business need behind everything that we build. Because if not, it's very easy to just fall into this building for the sake of building, because it's fun, because it is fun. Of course,
it is fun.
That's why we got this side project kind of idea, just to make people just more aware of what can be done, and being able to, just get more ideas. Because if you're aware of what can be done, then you just, sometimes some people get ideas on how can their process that they're working with can be improved, and then it feeds back to us, and it feeds back to improve Tuio. So for us, it's definitely a win.
Yeah. I love that. I'm curious, with these large insurance providers now, you've, in the words of Miley Cyrus, you've kind of come in like a wrecking ball to this insurance industry, where things are very traditional. It's, in the past, it's kind of been like an old boys club, like the men, and it's just such a old industry, and a lot of the players are old. Have you gotten much pushback from the traditional insurance providers?
Yeah, definitely. Another way of, and we used to describe Tuio as this way not so long ago. So a way of describing Tuio and what we do is that it's been a contrarian story. So basically, we've been told at every stage of the company that what we wanted to do couldn't possibly be done. So when we started, we just like, we want to build this online self-service, digital-based onboarding process. Like, no, insurance, it will never be self-service. It's always sold. It's never bought. That's something that we used to be, and it probably doesn't make as much sense, the idiom in English as it is in Spanish. But we got at every stage, we got told that insurance is not bought, it's sold, and we were betting on, no, actually there's people that want to buy it on their own. If you build a good enough process and a good enough product and a good enough price. And that was the first thing that we actually proved. That was, again, a little bit against the grain, as bad religion used to say. And then the next one was, well, you won't be able to have people file their own claims online. And then again, we built it, we had to iterate on it, and then we had this, now it's 85% of the people file their claims online through our online process. Obviously, there's 15% that's our urgencies, and they just, your natural reaction is calling, and that's okay. That's part of the process.
So 85%, that's really healthy.
That's incredible.
Yeah, that's really everyone filed their claim online. And we have to, at the very beginning, we had to push a little bit, and they would call us, just file your claims, like, no, there's this process, and you can do this and you can do that, and this is the way it's going to work, and it's going to be better for you, and it's better for the company. And but yeah, now we're at 85%. The self-service online purchasing is at 98%. So basically everybody, we don't sell policies, we just dispatch them in a way. And
that's amazing.
And at every step of the company, it's a story of going against common sense and the industry common knowledge, and then proving them wrong. So that's we have definitely had experienced a lot of pushback, and now people are just mesmerized by us. Not really, but a little bit.
Hey, we are
just a little bit.
I'm mesmerized.
Yeah, no, I'm a big fan. If I lived in Spain, I'd be logging on right now to buy an insurance policy.
Yeah. Is there any plans to expand?
Yeah, we definitely see a gap in Southern Europe. That's our claim to fame with funds and potential investors, that we want to build the Southern Europe champion in insurance, because what we see is like more advanced, more penetrated countries where insurance has more penetration per GDP. Kind of like the UK, the Nordics, Germany, Switzerland. They do have companies similar like ours. There's space for everybody, but we see way less competition in the South, because insurance is probably less attractive in terms of pricing and margins, probably.
Yeah.
So we see a space in Portugal, we see space in France, Italy, Greece,
Awesome.
probably some other more countries that they will go after. So yeah, probably in 2026, more H2. 2026,
Okay.
we'll be looking at expanding internationally. Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome.
That's big. It's a big project.
It is indeed.
Yeah. Wow. So, I'm just amazed at you've given several examples. One, building I think you said it was like the chatbot from first iteration, 3.5 months, then was it 2 months or a month and a half, and then a month with the third iteration?
Yeah, and at every iteration, way more powerful with way more functionality, right? So at the very beginning,
Yeah.
we just had this little chatbot that only replied to questions about coverages. It couldn't, and then we evolved that, and then it became a bit more things. And now we're building a chatbot that basically is a text-based interface where you can do everything that you can do on our app, but through text. But also it has complete observability and evaluation. So every conversation we have is its own evaluation, and we've built this closed loop that it will see what went well or what went wrong, and we will have more LLMs or more agents, running on top of that, and it will advise on improvement on the actual agent, but it will also advise on improvement on the product, like the insurance product.
Yeah.
And we'll also advise us on improvements on the digital product. So through
So cool.
every customer conversation, you will get advice on how to improve the business, which is basically what you would have always wanted to do. But because you didn't have this technology, you just need to reduce yourself to sampling sizes and customer like non-traditional, like traditional customer research. But then now we can actually do it at scale.
Yeah.
It seems to me that Tuio has that you guys have kind of optimized for an extensible platform, more or less, as a company. And I find that really interesting and really admirable in a lot of ways. I'm fond of saying that that the correct amount of friction in a product is not zero. And so I love hearing stories like Tuio that, I then get pat myself on the back and be like, oh yeah, I'm totally right. It's really interesting to hear stories of how fast you guys can iterate now. Both because it's pointing to something new, which is this speed of iteration, but going back to what we were talking about earlier, like it's just the same core business processes that have existed for a long time, hyper optimized, right? Like, iterative development has been a thing for software for forever, right? And now you have a fast forward button you can press, and it's incredible.
Do it at scale. Yeah.
So I love that the kind of the organizing philosophy of taking full advantage of that.
Yeah, I like that too. I'm curious, Juana, if we get mixed replies to this question, and I'm very curious what your answer would be, because you have almost achieved a lack of a human in the loop on a lot of this insurance, these flows that you've built. Do you think there will be a time where there is no human in the loop for your processes, or do you kind of always see that a need for human oversight?
Well, just two things. We don't have, and maybe I explained it quite wrong. We have still a lot of human in the loop, but that's by design.
Right.
So the confidence levels and the outcomes and the suggestions that we have on our bots, on our NBA machines, some of those, for example, if you look at claims, which is, it's always better to just figure it out with an example. Like, for example, a claim refusal. We will never fully automate that, because we think that's a moment when a customer which is a paying customer, it's pretty vulnerable, because imagine if you're outside of your house, and you just lost your keys, and you just need to call us or text us or just get in contact with us. And that's something
says no.
Exactly. That makes, it's just like having this empathy. I think it's part of insurance, and
totally.
That's something we've designed. That there's several actions that we will never fully automate, and there's always a confidence level where you automate things, even if it's a decision that we can see ourselves automating. So I think it depends on the product and the customer. For example, there are some these the telemetric insurance pieces that I fully that we don't do, obviously. It's more B2B, but they can be fully automated because I mean if you have these wins on top of whatever knots, then maybe you just have a payout, and that's something that's easily automated because you have the data source. You can have the machine looking at it, and then you just pay the customer. But that's probably B2B. B2C, I definitely think that there will always be a human in the loop, and because there are decisions that are so critical for your customer relationship that they cannot be otherwise, or they shouldn't be. In our point of view, they shouldn't be automated, even if you can.
I like that.
Yeah.
And
knowing when to say no is important.
It's not only on claims as well. For example, some of the different topics that our chatbot can deal with. For example, problems with payments. Payments are so delicate, and even if it's a small payment, it's just the customer's money, right? So that's something that we don't automate either. We just go on the conversation and we just switch it, and whenever we just realize that it's about that, we pull the information from our systems. We have this copilot screen that the customer service agent can look at, but he will always be a person that will answer your doubts on payments because it's very critical for a customer. Even if it's €10 a month, it doesn't matter.
Right.
It's just his money, and it's not up to us to decide what it's worth for him or for us. So, for example, payments in the traditional cost to serve AI agents, we don't automate either.
Yeah, I love that. And I think the key is what you said at the very beginning is that you have a human in the loop, but it's by design. It's very purposeful. It's at the key, crux of each kind of decision, conversation, which I admire. I think that's where most, if not all, companies need to get to, where what AI is great at is everything in between. It's great at the in-between stuff. It's great at automating, filing a claim, checking if a claim is valid, like you mentioned with pet insurance. Like that is its bread and butter. That's what it's great at. But at least currently, and frankly, it's because of human bias. Maybe it could be better if we were more open to it. But currently, AI, whether it's the AI functionality and a capability, or if it's just human trust, is not great at conversation, at having those difficult conversations, at reasoning through an angry customer. It's not great.
I mean, and you can do it, and we just feel it's not good for our business, right? So different businesses, different founders, different directors are going to probably have different views on this. But our view is that there are several things that we don't think we should automate, even if we can. And maybe it gets to a point that our view changes. But I think this is probably a matter of principle as opposed to a technology capability. So that, I mean, definitely a refusal is something that I don't see ever being automated.
Yeah.
There's some other things that maybe we now don't feel comfortable with, but maybe in a couple of years, I mean, at the pace that this accelerates, maybe maybe there's even agents buying insurance for our customers at some point. Just plug into ChatGPT. It's like, I want homeowners insurance in Spain, and they don't even buy it themselves, right? So we don't know where the world is going to go in a couple of years, but for sure there's several decisions and several actions that if there is a person on the other side, we will probably want to automate ever.
Yep, that makes sense. That makes total sense.
As we're wrapping up here, Juan, I'm curious, we always ask this at the end. If you were to give advice to somebody who is skeptical about AI, but interested in learning more, what advice would you give them for becoming more comfortable with the technology, at least having a greater level of knowledge, even if they don't necessarily like it?
I don't know, 1,000 ways of answering this question. Probably just because just probably because of what we're living right now. Is I would hand them a cursor monthly fee and just let them build something. And they I mean, once you've seen it, you just cannot unsee it.
No, it's true. Yeah.
Or Cloud Code or whatever coding agent you want to have. It's just like you just build something, and whenever you build it, then you cannot unsee it.
Yeah,
it's addictive.
It's life changing. It really is. I love that. Juan, if people want to follow you, follow Tuio, what are the best ways for listeners to do that?
Sure, it's just tuyo.com. We were lucky to buy fourletter.com URL,
Yeah,
which is
that's
cheap.
big.
But this one was okay. Wasn't too bad. So that's probably the best one. And then LinkedIn is JUANGA2.
Okay.
That's my LinkedIn, and just look Tuyo on your socials, and we'll be there.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Yeah, we'll drop links and everything. It's been a pleasure, Juan. Thank
This
you.
has
Thank
been
you for
great.
coming on, and we'll definitely stay in contact. You're part of the AI Rebels family now, so we'll stay in contact.
It's been a pleasure as well. It was fun.
Thank
I'm
you.
sure we'll talk soon. Thanks, Juan.
Bye.